What is the number one bliss killer? What's the number one bliss killer? People, relationships, right? John is going to guide you tonight on how to find bliss in every relationship, whether that's your boss, your child, your spouse, your lover, doesn't matter. Because one of the most important places you have to learn how to find bliss is in relationships. And John Gray needs no introduction. Who doesn't know John Gray? He's the most iconic, the best-selling author of all time on relationships. He wrote the book on it, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. And then he went on to write 20 more books. He's been on every TV show. This is the most iconic guru of all time, and I am so honored to have you here, John. Over to you.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you. Where do I end my talk?
7:45?
7:45. I have a clock there. I'm used to talking 3 hours straight for 9 hours a day. I teach a lot of classes. Somebody actually said earlier today, do you teach classes? Well, that's all I do. I travel around the world, I teach classes, but if you ever want to visit me in Marin County on the weekend, I do weekend classes every 3 or 4 months, so you're welcome to visit me there. Because this is really just an appetizer, but we're going to feel bliss tonight and know that bliss is within our range of possibilities to choose bliss. So I love the concept, choose bliss, because thinking of coming to this Bliss Festival, I've been blissed out for the last 3 days because I've been choosing bliss. It's such a powerful word. See, words have power. They activate much of the neural wiring in your brain. I can think happy, and I can think of happy moments. I can think peace, and I can put myself on a mountain and feel peaceful, or in my bed meditating. Easy. Words have activation of neural pathways in your brain. And so just choosing to feel something, you can choose to feel. But many of us never choose to feel. So this is a wonderful message, and I try to discern bliss because I'm not always feeling bliss in my life. Most of the time, I'm happy and I feel love. And in my earlier years, I was blissed out. I was a brahmachari. Those of you from India know what that word is. I was a celibate monk and had a guru for 9 years and blissed out all the time. Through meditation, through breathing exercises that you're going to learn tonight, you can just bliss out. And bliss out is experiencing the source of happiness within you. Then the next step is from that foundation of blissing out, it transforms into love. In relationship, because I can be myself. I'm on a mountaintop, I'm in my bedroom, I'm meditating, I feel blissed out. But now from that foundation, we want to apply that to love. And when love goes wrong, we need to come back to blissing out. That was how I wrote all my books. How did I, John Gray, write this book that was all around the world, continues to help people to this day? Is that being married after being a brahmachari to my wife, she would upset me all the time. Now, I was famous. I was in 3,600 centers. I had my picture up as a spiritual guru and all that stuff. And I was blissed out all the time. Then I got married. Things changed. I can always be in front of an audience and be blissed out. You're all paid to hear me speak or clapping for me, whatever. My wife, on the other hand, she would push my buttons. You all know what that means, push your buttons. My wife pushed my buttons today even. I took one of my daughters, I have 3 daughters and 5 grandchildren, and one of my daughters is a bit sick and she needed me to take her dog to the vet, to have the dog washed and bring it back to the house. And she says, why do you always do things for your daughter? I think you're spoiling her. I said, well, maybe so. I said, I don't argue with my wife. Well, you should know that that's not the right way to do it. You spoil your children, and you spoil me too. I said, don't you like that? Well, I do like that, but you shouldn't treat children that way. And then she went into, and you wrote books on parenting. I don't think you have the best parenting advice. Now that's pushed my button. Everything was fine. But see, women will push you to react, men. They just keep going until you react. So what did I cleverly do? This is just today. I apply these things all the time. I said, okay, I need to think about what you're saying. I hear you. Even though inside my button was pushed. I said, I need to take a shower. And went right away out of the room. I tell men to do this sometimes if it's not shower time in the morning. Just say to her, I need to go to the bathroom. And sometimes men will say, my wife follows me into the bathroom and she wants to keep talking. So I'm going to teach one particular lesson, a few lessons today for fun, to bliss out on this. And since so many of you have Indian background, I just want to connect to that, which is I'm going to do a blessing on this group as well. So can you do a few bowls for a few moments? Just some nice background music. I'm going to invoke a blessing, which in my past was part of my repertoire. So this is Sanskrit blessing. It just means whether pure or impure. Bless us all equally, that our lives can be filled with love, light, and bliss. Apavitro pavitro va, sarva vastangato biva, yasmare punari kaksham sabaya vyantra suchi. Avahanam. Avahanam means come. Come to all of us and bless us every day. And now I'm going to share with you my little prayer that I like to do every day without Sanskrit, but pretty much most mantras say the same thing. Dear God, and I'd like you all to join me, just put your hands up a little bit. You can't do all like this, but just like this. Dear God, our hearts are open to you. Thank you. We'll try it again. Dear God, our hearts are open to you. Come. Fill us with your love, light, and bliss. And take away any darkness in my heart. And right now, send your angels of love, light, and bliss. Thank you. Just feel your hands waking up. See, all the gurus always have the hand motions, the mudras. Notice how all your hands beginning to tingle. That's the divine energy, waking it up in your hands. Fingertips, how you touch your wife, how you touch your husband, children. That's how we can feel the most, fingertips. Just notice your fingertips lighting up. And some of it might just warm up, some of it might feel numb. But this is a beautiful thing to sit when you meditate, fingertips. And of course, when you have an intimate partner, fingertips are very important too. And I'll just remind men that biologically, actually I won't start with that, I'll get to that. Today you're going to learn something that most people have never known, and that's how men and women are biologically different. And I'm inspired by doing this because at one point, one of our Supreme Court justices, they asked her, can you define a woman? She said, no, you'd have to have a biologist. Well, I am not a biologist, but I spent the last 6 years in writing a book on the biology of men and women and how that affects our relationships. So this is a very simple concept. Now, one of the things I learned in Men Are From Mars is that when a man goes to work, he works hard. Then when he's done working, he needs to come home, and the popular phrase in my book, he needs to be in his cave for a while. That means he doesn't want to talk to you. And if you say, what are you feeling? What's he going to say? Nothing. Because he's feeling nothing. And you can't understand that because you're biologically different. Now, Harvard did a study on this, very simple. It's pure, everything is science, what I'm talking about. They put women on a couch, and they said, at the end of the day, said, have a seat, relax, put electrodes on your head. And what happens? All they have to do is say, relaxed, don't worry. Her brain activity began to increase dramatically. And as women, you all know, when they asked her, what are you thinking? She said, I'm thinking about all the things I still have to do that I haven't done, that I have to do and I can't do because I'm sitting here. First, they put the electrodes on. Men, they said, just relax. He says, okay. All brain activity goes down. And then they said, well, what are you thinking? Nothing. So when your husband says nothing, he means it. Nothing is going on inside. He needs to have a blank state. He needs to stop thinking about the problems at work. Because the way men are designed, if there's a problem, we're like emergency men. If there's a problem, I have energy to solve the problem. And at the end of the day, I can't solve problems because this is the way the brain evolved over thousands and thousands of years. There's nothing you can do at night. So what men have to do, since they can't solve the problem, we have to temporarily forget the problem. And then Buddha came along and said, yes, that's called meditation. Forget the problem. And you can see so beautifully here the beautiful woman singing and the music and the dancing. That's how women would meditate. If you go to India now, I've been there 28 times, studied in India, all this stuff. I say to women, do you meditate? Oh, too hard. Mind too busy. Because you're not designed for that. Now, you can certainly learn to meditate now because women are different than the past. You have a bit more of your masculine side. But the male side of us is equipped and designed, if activated, to forget problems. Now, what happens is we come home from work and our wife wants us to talk. We need to forget problems. But she, on the other hand, she needs to talk. That's the foundation of all happiness for women, is talking. Now think about it. If a woman was I've lived down in the Amazon with the Amazon Indians there, living there. And at night I went outside. The person I was next to was snoring. So I said, I'm going to go for a little walk. And I went down to the river, and I imagined a mother coming down to the river or to the well to get water. And then she looked into the woods and she saw the eyes of a tiger. What is she going to do? Is she going to go fight that tiger? No. She's going to immediately run to the men and tell them there's a problem. If she was to keep that a secret, she'd feel all this pressure. And women are designed primarily to see problems. If nobody points out their problems, men won't do anything. Men are designed to have energy when there's a problem. Let me fix it. So she'll come home, want to talk about her day, problems of the day. And what does he do? He doesn't understand women. He interrupts her and says, don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. Or you should do this, or you should do this. Because see, one of the things we men do when there's 15 problems, we know, and women don't know this is a secret we have, power. We don't think of 2 problems at once. We prioritize them. There's all these problems in our life, you only can handle one at a time. So we focus on one at a time and forget everything else. You, on the other hand, are overwhelmed and stressed because you remember everything. Did you know that your hippocampus, which is the emotional memory, is twice as big in a woman's brain than a man's? Already you get your money's worth right now just by knowing that one difference. Because women are always saying to their husbands, how could you forget? You forget everything. How could you forget? Well, now you know. Little hippocampus. Now men, on the other hand, they complain to me. They say, my wife, she remembers everything. Every mistake I've ever made, she remembers. And she brings it right up. Why? Can't she just let it go? No, women can't. I'm going to explain why. We can help her to let it go, though. So think about this hippocampus. Now, this is a metaphor, but what I just said is truth. Okay, this is a metaphor. Actually, I'll give you more research on the hippocampus. When a woman's experiencing adrenaline, see, there's 2 major stress hormones. We're going to talk about hormones tonight. That's the biological difference between men and women, is hormones. When women are experiencing adrenaline, that's moderate stress. That's the world we live in now. Okay, just moderate stress all the time. I'm late. How do I get there? I still have to do this. We didn't pay this. That person, I still owe them. It's my children's birthday. How do I make time for that? That's all moderate stress. So we would call that adrenaline pumping in your body. For men, we actually like a moderate stress. We like to drive faster, take risks, do dangerous things. Why do we do that? Because it makes adrenaline. And when a man makes adrenaline, blood flow stops to the hippocampus. He can't feel any fear. He can't feel any negative emotions. He can't feel anything. We like that. Just forget all your feelings temporarily. What happens to a woman when she has moderate stress? 8 times more blood flow to the emotional part of the brain. Women are designed to have more emotion. And thank goodness. I'll just talk about, not my wife right now, but when I was down at the indigenous tribes, you can hear they're making love every night. Now, how does that happen? Well, that happens because they have a different set of hormones than we have here. And they're not doing romantic stuff. They're just going about their daily life. They have a lifestyle there which promotes a particular hormone in women and a particular hormone in men. Rules, they're going away now, and so is sex. It's all disappearing because we're lost what I'll call polarity, where men make a lot more male hormones and women make a lot more female hormones. And what are those female hormones, and why do we call them female hormones? Because if a woman is happy, not blissed out, just happy, her estrogen levels will be 10 times higher than the average man. And if her estrogen is not 10 times higher than the average man, she will be stressed. So anytime a woman is stressed, you can measure her estrogen levels are too low according to what is the happiness healthy level. That's 10 times more. Now, for a woman to feel romantic feelings, which as couples, we hope that you can have some romantic feelings. For romance to happen, a woman needs 20 times more estrogen than a man. And that's biologically proven. Even for her to be interested in being romantic with you, you have to learn how to raise her estrogen up. And that's called biohacking. Like hacking a computer, you can affect it. I can biohack my wife's estrogen. Good thing to learn. Now, what's the difference between men and women? Men, on the other hand, to feel good, to have self-esteem, to be proud of yourself, to be confident. Whenever you're confident, you feel good. So when a man feels confident and feels good, his testosterone levels will be 10 times higher than a woman's. Now, already women make lots of testosterone. It's just that a man makes 10 times more. Just think about these differences. Imagine this man 10 times taller. That's big. There's a huge, significant differences between men and women. And why I have to emphasize this is because as a counselor for 50 years, every single problem the couples have when it's man and woman and they want romance in their life, or they have a family and they want to raise their children together and they have to figure out how to solve financial problems together, furniture placement, timing, scheduling, all the things you have to do when you're married, it just seems like too much trouble for the younger generation because they don't have this knowledge. And unfortunately, almost every counselor you go to doesn't have this knowledge. Imagine if you went to a medical doctor, a woman, and he's a specialist in prostate cancer. You don't want that doctor. You want somebody who understands women. Same thing. I'm not going to go to a woman's doctor. I need to go to a man's doctor. This is all very well known in medicine. And yet right now, every counselor is taught in school that men and women are the same. And you should give the same advice to a woman that you would give to a man. And what that does is all the advice they give is based upon women. Where did that come from? Because as a counselor, people who write these books on relationships, they're all counselors. Who comes to counselors? 90% of the people who will pay to have somebody listen to them are women, not men. The only time men come to me is with their wives say, I want my husband to be there. And I'll call him up and say, look, I'm going to make your wife either happy or unhappy because you're not following my instructions. Because all I teach is strategy to men. Men just need to understand women are from another planet. You have to understand them very differently. For example, my wife, when she was, for whatever reason, out of the blue, we can look at astrology if you want, whatever the moon is, this happens to be, by the way, a supermoon, happens in August every 4 years. The moon causes the tides to move. I mean, huge effect on that. You don't think it affects our hormones, the liquids in our body? Well, it affects women hugely. For example, when you have the full moon, that's the best time for romance, just to let you know. And it's the best time where couples have the biggest arguments. Why? Because the way a woman's body is, there's a cycle where she has her period, and now from that point on, her estrogen levels need to keep getting higher and higher. About halfway towards ovulation, it needs to be about 10 times more than a man. And as she gets to ovulation, it needs to be about 20 times more than a man. And if she doesn't get it then, she's not satisfied. She will feel not enough. Not enough time, not enough affection, not enough money, not enough support, just not enough everything. But if she gets what she needs 2 to 3 days before ovulation, she's going to look at the same life and go, this is good. This is great. I love my life. I can bliss out on what I've got. I can also have romantic feelings. Her body cannot have romantic feelings unless her estrogen levels are doubling. So she can't be happy unless her estrogen levels are 10 times more than a man's. So remember I was talking about the women who want to tell all the men there's a tiger? What do the men do? They get together like they're playing golf. No women around. We got to protect the women and children. They go play golf. They get their clubs. They are called clubs. And they sneak. And they're quiet. They don't speak. Otherwise, they fail. We're designed not to speak in danger. Think about a warrior. You can't make noise. When I was a young teenager, I was a hunter. You sit in a blind, it's called a blind little thing to shoot a deer. And you just sit there the longest time, quiet, waiting. And what are you doing? You're meditating. This is what men need. They need silence. They need to be on their own. They need to be separate from women and children. And then they feel horny. They can't live without you. I remember one book written by a feminist which says, if you can't live without me, why aren't you dead? I thought it was funny. See, a man is different from a woman, and that women need connection in order for estrogen to go up. That's the number one thing for a woman's happiness, her fulfillment, is to feel connection. For men, what we need is connection, but also separation. And then connection, and then separation. And then connection and separation. We need to go away from you and then come back to you. If you look at all history, as men went out of the house, they went and did their thing, they work. And when they work, the number one testosterone producer is work. And the number one killer of men is when they stop working, and that's called retirement. 3 years before their heart attack kills them when they retire. Doesn't mean you have to do the same job. You just have to continue to feel in the morning, I made a promise and I have to fulfill it. I'm needed. Because see, for men, one of the best things is to feel, I have to do this. No choice. I said I'd do it, so I have to do it. When a man says, I'm going to do this, and I have to do it, and they take action, testosterone goes up. And they make this testosterone, and then they use it up. At the end of the day, it's gone. How does he rebuild testosterone? He rebuilds testosterone by solving little problems that have no stress associated with them, to forget his big problems. Little problems produce testosterone, big problems. Golf is a little problem to solve. Watching a football game or even playing football, playing tennis is a problem to solve. And while he's solving those problems, and of course, he's just watching TV, it's a football game, he's actually the coach. Don't do that, do this, yes, no, whatever. And of course, women say, oh, these men, they're so shut down, they have no feelings. Have you ever watched a man at a football game? We have a lot of emotion and feeling. Have you ever watched a man playing golf? Every moment is darn, frustration, disappointment. But we don't want to share that with you. And we shouldn't share that with you. That's something we do with men. But we're taught now, it's like the mantra of women. It's like to say to a man when he is in his cave, you say to him, what are you feeling? And he says, nothing. No, you're a narcissist if you have nothing you're feeling. You need to talk. We need to go deep. We need to share the depth of our pain and our feelings and our childhood and all these things. No, men don't need that. So when a man is upset, we're stressed. I get stressed All the time I get stressed. How do I deal with it? I solve the problem. I have a problem, what am I going to do? I make my list, what am I going to do about it? And I commit myself to doing, and I do what I can. At the end of the day, if it's not solved, I have to forget my problem. Now for me, I'm an expert at this because I know how to meditate. My whole life I've practiced meditation, so it's a powerful tool. But it's not the only tool. One of my favorite tools, I have to start my day with meditation, which is great. I'm blissed out to start the day. But at the end of the day, I like to watch the news. For me, watching the news is other people's problems, not mine. And when you watch the news, you see how stupid people are. So your self-esteem goes up quite easily. Idiots. What are they doing this for? Whatever. This is what men have to do. Does it mean I don't love my wife? No. It means I first have to rebuild my testosterone. Now, I learned about rebuilding testosterone by, back in the, in my early 30s. I'm in my 70s now, but in my 30s, when I was developing these ideas, first of all, I would sit in malls and watch men and women. You see how they're different. Most men, if they're shopping with their wives, they're just looking for a chair or a couch the whole time. I mean, literally, you're exhausted. Not that men don't shop. Men shop, but usually for one thing. I'm in there, I kill it, I bring it home. And of course, I remember being married to Bonnie in the beginning, and I did go and I needed some pants. So I went out and bought pants, and I bought these pants. They fit. I was happy they fit. They were comfortable. I liked the softness of the material. I have a sensitive side. And I came home and said, look at these pants, honey. And she looked at these pants and she says, you have nothing in your closet to match those pants. And a man's love can take your estrogen higher than anything. But you can still have your estrogen with other things. So that's a good thing. You want to basically, the ideal is for women to understand, what are the activities in my life that raise estrogen? We saw so many: music, dancing, singing, prayer. One of the big problems in America is it's about 60% of the people in America now don't believe in God. Belief in God, some kind of experience, divine experience, or just belief, makes you feel not alone. When you're not alone, you can't make it. When you feel there's no one there, which is also a lie, when you're believing a lie, you don't have that belief. I mean, what's creating this body? What's fueling this speech? What's allowing us the heart to beat? You ever seen someone die? In an instant, gone. It's the divine energy that flows through all of us. Of course there's God. We may not know how to articulate or experience it or whatever. But when you don't believe that, and you're a woman, you have no backup. You're all alone. Already you're in stress state. Women's stress levels in the workplace, this is data, I'm just talking data, are twice as high as a man's stress levels in the workplace, on average. And when she comes home, they double, whether she's single or married. Because the workplace is designed to make testosterone. If testosterone, it's reward. A man does things to get paid. In the home, you don't do things to get paid. You do things to love and be loved. It's not about money. It's not about you have to do this. There's a lot of unconditional aspects there. And then think about women's bodies. They're designed to make a baby. A baby has the opportunity to just give without thinking of returning. I just see my daughter with her little 1.5-year-old. Unconditional love pouring into this child. Why can she give freely? Because she has a husband who gives to her. So she doesn't have to worry about making money. Understand the logic of that? See, she's getting what she needs. Estrogen goes up when you have what you need to survive, when you need to be fulfilled. So when estrogen goes up, now she can overflow to her children and have it be unconditional. But when she doesn't have a partner, her love, she wants it to be unconditional, but it's not. Because she burns out. You know, we all know the basis of spirituality is to give is better than to receive, right? We've all heard that. And yet every woman that's ever come into my office, unhappy in her marriage or relationship or in her life, she'll say with men, I always give and give and give, but I don't get anything back. She doesn't understand men. If you give to men, you burn out. What you have to give to men is give him the opportunities to give to you. That's the mastery of femininity. Receptivity. And how do you practice receptivity? Stop giving him. Stop trying to help the man. There's not a man in this room who would disagree with, well, maybe there is. There's always an exception. But men get annoyed when women give us helpful advice. As one comedian did, and he was saying, I just like this comedian, and he was saying, you know, my wife is such a nice helper. She's my helper when I drive. She reminds me of the colors. Red, yellow, green. It's green. It's yellow. It's so helpful. And she lets me know. She reminds me all the time that if you go fast, you could get a speeding ticket. I didn't know that. And I might even lose my insurance. And if you go in the fast lane, you're not always a nice person. Those people don't like that. She's so helpful. Now, it's a joke because we don't like advice in the car. But for everything that's an annoyance in my book, and a lot of these ideas of biohacking are going to come out in another book, but also in the book Beyond Mars and Venus. Because basically, women have evolved beyond the traditional woman to where they want to also have their male side. But in going to their male side, it's hard to get back to the female. That's what a man can do for a woman. Because men walk around going, I make more money than men. What do I need a man for? Well, just notice if you need sleeping pills or you're stressed out in your life. When I was teaching at a medical conference in Brazil, I heard the message there, statistics, data, 95% of the women in Sao Paulo have to take drugs to sleep. That's not natural. They shouldn't be that stressed out. And that's our modern life, where women are feeling the burden of making money and then coming home for the second shift. It's like a job all the time, and it's just a pressure on them. So I can help that pressure out. And the good news is that while my wife is at work, my wife works, when she's at work, she's making testosterone. But this grace that God gives us, if she can anticipate coming home to a husband who is dedicated to her, who loves her, who asks her about her day, who listens to her feelings, who validates her and reassures her that she is loved every single day. And how does he do that? Well, I have a lot of biohacks. I'm going to give you 3 real quick, because this is something you can do right away. First of all, women, whenever a man is talking, don't ask him how he feels. But if he is talking, you need to talk more. Never ask a lot of questions of a man. But when he's talking, say things like this. What a good idea. And then change the subject. Or you say, you're right about that. And then change the subject. You watch his posture. His chest will go up. Yes, I'm right. That makes sense. Yes, that makes sense. Well, that's so helpful. Yes, I'm your man. Those little phrases can make a wonderful difference. And when a woman is talking, just put a sticker in her bathroom mirror. I had one for years and years. I'm pretty good at it now. It says, don't speak. Just don't speak. And she'll trick you because she'll say, so how do you feel about what I just said? You say, I'm still thinking about it. Tell me more. Even though every cell in your body is like, how long is this conversation going? Tell me more. Help me understand that better. See, these are all friendly phrases. And how can you do that? Because in your mind, you have this awareness that you're going to get first prize for being an amazing husband because you're listening to her. It's one of the most important things for women today because it used to be just men making money was the most important thing. But when women can make money, it doesn't have the same value. It's kind of like, look at all the money you make. Well, I'm making money too. And I have to work harder because I'm a woman. They don't pay me as much. Okay, whatever. So that doesn't work anymore. So what is it? Maslow talked about what's called a hierarchy of needs about 100 years ago. Famous psychologist. Everybody kind of agrees with him. When your survival security needs are fulfilled, other needs emerge. And one of those needs that emerges is emotional fulfillment. Certainly personal growth, spiritual development, these become more important. But the foundation of that is emotional fulfillment. And my emotional fulfillment comes by being successful in providing for my wife and children for their happiness. That's my emotional fulfillment. Her emotional fulfillment is that I'm doing a good job. And part of that, and plus the 3 hacks I'm about to give you. Well, this is one, which is help me understand that better. Tell me more. Then when you hope, you're glad, it seems like it's over. What else? Amazing husband I have. He's so present for me. He's so there for me. This is power. Always, every day, 4 hugs a day. I get up in the morning, I have a job to do. Where's my wife? Find her. She doesn't find me for the hugs, I find her. It's a 6 to 7 second hug. She will relax. It literally biologically produces oxytocin, a hormone of safety, which then allows her estrogen levels to start to rise. Literally what goes on in her mind is she will start to think of the nice things you've done instead of remembering the things you didn't do. It's just a biological change that happens. That memory in there is like a library, and there's an elevator. On the ground floor is all the wonderful things you've ever done. And on the second floor is all the things you didn't do. And when a woman's stress level rises, she gets in an elevator, she goes to the second floor, and that's all she can see. It's like, why am I married to this guy? He does nothing for me. This is what women will say. They'll say, I give and give, I get nothing. I think you got a little bit more than nothing. Maybe not everything you want, but nothing. But in that story, that's all she sees. And then you make the mistake, men, of saying, honey, but yesterday I did this, and last week I did this, and you're trying to explain she shouldn't feel that way. And how do you feel if a woman tells you what you should do that you don't want to do, gives you unsolicited advice? You don't like that. She doesn't like it either, telling her don't feel that way. But you just want her to be happy. So how do you help her be happy? Don't tell her not to feel that way. Encourage her to feel that way. You help me understand that better. And you have to occasionally make a few noises like, really? That's hard. Oh. Just that little, you're there, because you're just looking stone-faced. Okay? I'm thinking about it. Honey, you're leaving. Let me give you a hug before you go. Every time you do a little something, you get a squirt of estrogen. And I call that in Men Are From Mars, you get a point. What men don't understand, you make a lot of money, it's an act of love, 1 point. On Venus, every act of love is 1 point. Now I say everyone is a squirt of estrogen, goes up. You can give her all these roses, that's 1 point. Give her 1 or 2 roses, same reaction. Oh, that's so sweet, I like the rose, you thought of me. It's a simple thing. Men think bigger is better, and yes, bigger occasionally is better, but lots of little. And if you want to bring your relationship back to how you fell in the beginning, what did you do in the beginning? Most men aren't willing to do the big stuff like share their income and be monogamous and be devoted to you, get married. So they just do the little stuff. That's why you fall in love with him. Then he does the big stuff and he thinks, I don't have to do the little stuff anymore. The little stuff is easy. It's doing lots of little things. I'm already a few minutes over. I'm going to just finish with a few biohacks. 4 hugs a day. And it's very clever. You know, I'll be at night and she'll go to bed sometimes earlier than me. I let her walk away for a while. I say, honey, are you going to bed? That's a point just for noticing she left. Women are always testing. Do you even see me? Do you care about me? Whatever. Honey, are you going to bed? She says, yes. Oh, I want to give you a hug. And you run to give her a hug. You get a point for running. You get a point for a 6-second hug. You can't grind in your hug. It's a 5-second hug. Now, one other aspect, and this is something where I'm going to do two more hacks. They're my favorite. I just don't want to go without sharing this with you. Here's the hack. Women's stress level is a lot about the straw that breaks the camel's back. Women are feeling, I have to, I have to, I have to. Their mind is just busy, busy, busy. And you want to break that. You want to have a pattern interrupt. So it's just like an automatic ocean. She's in a have to, have to, have to. So what she does every day in my marriage, and what I recommend to my clients, is every day when he's not in his cave, you put your hand up and says, I'm going to make a request. It only takes 5 minutes. And it's something that I could do for myself, but I want you to do for me. Because if you want to do something, you have to do it, right? So I'm going to have you do something that I would normally do for myself, or that I can't do myself. But it will only take 5 minutes. So that could be a foot massage, that could be make me tea, that could be straighten up this room, that could be put dishes in the dishwasher, it could be go in some trash, that could be change the light bulb, it could be straighten something up. Just ask him to do something. And your job, remember, this is 5 minutes. So what you do is you pretend like you are so happy to do that. Just like when you fly first class, they always come to your chair and they say, Dr. Gray, we're so happy to have you here. I love your book. Just know there's a button right here. You can push this button. We'll come right away. You can have your dinner whenever you want it. Whenever you like, we will come right away. You're like the genie in a bottle for him. You're ready, 3 wishes, what is it? But only 5 minutes. If a man has only 5 minutes, even if he's tired, he thinks, this is good foreplay. This is going to make my wife happy. I didn't realize that little things make a woman happy. Now, I think some men are watching some men and they're doubting whether this is true. Just do it. Give it a few weeks, and you'll start to see you have a new wife. Because you're the same guy you were in the beginning, where she would ask for something little, and you would jump. Happy to do it. Women need to experience that. So that's another biohack. My final one, although there's many. This is really sweet. Thought I'd end with something sweet. Every day, my wife says to me, maybe after one of the hugs, do you love me? I say, yes. How much do you love me? With all my heart. You still think I'm beautiful? You're so beautiful, honey. Are you happy you married me? I'm so grateful. I'm so happy I married you. Are you sure? I'm absolutely sure. Are you still mad about that argument the other day? I can't even remember it at all. You sure you love me? I do. And that hug. You can do this every day. It's foreplay for men to get in touch with their feelings. Because we walk around our lives and our muscles and our testosterone. It helps bring our estrogen level up while we're feeling successful. And so you do it as a process, an exercise. Because normally if a wife says, hey honey, do you love me anymore? Of course I love you. Why do you say such a stupid thing like that? Why would you doubt my love? I'm kind of pissed off about it. So you just do, let's do the reassurance exercise. And a man can initiate it as well. Honey, let's just do reassurance. I do it every time. And then in our intimate moments, which I'm not talking about now, we do it then as well. It's so nice when you're being physically intimate with your partner. It's not just all silence. It's a way for her to just do it many, many times. Because every time you do it, your estrogen goes higher and higher and higher. Because think back to when you're falling in love. What is a woman thinking at that time? Do you like me? Do you love me? I wonder if he really loves me. Am I the only one for him? Does he think I'm beautiful? Is he happy to be with me? Is he glad to be with me? And of course the answer to all those things is yes, yes, yes. It's still inside that man. But you have to find it within yourself, women. That little bit of insecurity and share it. Because that's called vulnerability. And a woman's vulnerability is what brings out the best in a man. Thank you all for having a lovely time tonight. More bliss, more ways to experience bliss. I'm excited as well. I'll be with you. I'm going to practice the breathing with all of you. Thank you so much.
My goodness, my goodness. John Gray, ladies and gentlemen, saving marriages.